Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I'm a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too, because you're watching content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting, because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, whole being experience when it comes to manifesting the lives that we choose, right? So this is what I'm on today. 7 signs that someone is trying to cut down your self-esteem or cut down your self-worth. And the reason why this came up is because when I'm walking and doing my thing and like exercising in the morning, I listen to podcasts all the time. It's a habit of mine. Podcasts are either some type of audio, and it can be history, it can be animals, murder mystery, true crime. It just depends on the day. And so the other day I was listening to one of them that I listened to previously, but not recently, but I just tapped in because I was like, I'm not doing anything. And it's about narcissism. That's all she talks about is narcissism constantly. And so it's a bit overwhelming. So I take breaks from that kind of information. And what she was describing was like so many different scenarios and things that people have going on. And then in my mind, it became really crystal clear. There's like 7 themes that I don't even know if she realized that seems to encompass most of the toxic behavior that she was discussing, right? And I was trying to think in my own life when I've dealt with people or places or things that had that negative impact on me, is like it was generally because of some type of seeking a validation that I probably shouldn't have been doing, right? So number 1, right, is this is a super common one. Anything you accomplish is minimized, right? I think sometimes we get so used to or so accustomed to being in environments where it's not a safe place for you to brag about exciting things that you've done. It's not a safe place for you to feel good about it, because who was ever on the receiving end, they don't see it as you being excited about what you've done. They see it as like an attack on what they have not done, right? So we don't get in the habit of just having that safe place to say, this is what I had happen. This is what, and I know many people who I know too, who do successful things and who work on projects, they'll often say that when they accomplish something, often they don't tell anybody. And that's just interesting, right? So someone who is good at manipulating others can really work on that mindset someone may have, like, minimizing an accomplishment, because we kind of do that to ourselves anyway. So when someone knows that and they know how to work it, you got to be really careful, because they're trying to chop you down to size. And in order to do that, they have to make you think that the things that you've done are not that valuable. The things that you've accomplished are not that important, that, anybody can go get a degree. Anybody can go work in that industry. Anybody can use their brain, anybody can do that, but anybody doesn't do it, so you have to keep that in mind. Number 2 is they purposely do not compliment you, right? I was hearing her discuss husbands and wives and all that kind of stuff in relationships a lot. And what I noticed is a theme is she was so looking for someone to say she looks beautiful today, or her hair looks good, or her clothing is nice, or I bought this pretty new outfit. What is he going to say? And it was always a crash every single time. And because he was working, or she was, because it's male and females who are doing these things, because they were working on the person's esteem and their self-worth, they easily can go by. They know you're looking good. They know you got it going on. They know you worked out. They know you lost 10, 15 pounds. You're doing your thing, right? But they'll look right at you and go, hi, hello, and just keep on going. And then your mindset, when you walk away, you're like, well, I must not be doing as much as I thought I was doing because they didn't notice me. Not true. All lies. Number 3 is they tend to focus on what they assume is someone's shortcomings, or what they feel is something that they can use to deflect from themselves, right? So what I noticed a lot of the people were saying is that they never got a break from what they were doing wrong. Like they never got a break from the person or the people around them saying, you're doing this wrong. Well, you did this the other day and I didn't like it. It was constant them on the defense of whatever behavior they have, right? And what I do know about sports, because my daughter's played soccer for several years, right? And just watching American football in general and paying attention to how it actually works. If you can keep somebody on the defense, got their back against the ropes. It's even in boxing, right? Or I think it's boxing. whatever. If you can keep their back against the ropes, like if you can keep people on the defense, right, then they're not in a position to sort of take authority over you or to get in a, to be on a higher rung of a hierarchy over you, or to be responsive to you instead of reactive. If you can keep someone always backed up against the wall, then they're always defending themselves, right? But what is being noticed is that this is just a tool to deflect. Because if I'm a kind of person and I have a lot of mischievousness going on and I manipulated people, the first thing that I would do to work on someone's self-worth or self-esteem is to try to tell them all the things that are wrong with them and what they have going on and where they're falling short and all that. Because while I got them backed against the wall, I can have whatever going on because I've successfully deflected from any attention to me and all the attention on them. Lies. Anyway, number 4 is they tell, I have notes today, so I have to look in here, right? They tell you or act as if you're wanting a basic validation means that you need to be humbled. This is a really good one because people that have low self-worth or insecure or have low self-esteem, and I've been there, every one of those things, name it, I was it at one point in my life. And it's not for lack of believing that I was worth it, just not even understanding what behavior meant and what were the outcomes of it, just not even coming from a certain stock of people in some areas, right? And it's nothing wrong with it. We all break generational curses every generation, right? And so anyway, when you want basic validation, because say you did something that you thought was great or whatever, and you notice there's no compliments, there's no positive energy coming from that direction, and you're just like, hey, what do you think of this or whatever. I've been in situations around certain kinds of people that's just like, all you do is talk about yourself. Why do can't you just feel excited about that all on your own? Why do you need to drag me into this thing to feel good? And this is the thing. People do that and tell you that you need to be humbled is mostly because if they're a toxic kind of person, they don't want to have anything to do with your accomplishments or anything that you're doing successful. Flat out, it's not attention on them. They're not interested, right? But on the other hand, telling someone that they need to be humbled, for a person that's insecure already, if they are, telling them that they need to be humbled is like icing on the cake to kind of, finish tanking their self-worth, because they already feel as if asking for anything is too much. So if they ask you for like a little bit of validation and you tell them they need to be humbled, they feel like, oh, all of my worst fears are absolutely correct. I don't deserve attention. I probably think about myself too much. I probably don't deserve to have any compliments or whatever like that. So you can really easily get into their head about being humbled. And really, they're usually the most humble of the people in the interaction, right? And only are made to look like that just as an act of manipulation and just being toxic, I try to figure out why people do some things. My daughter was asking me this the other day, and we couldn't come up with a lot of good reasons, but jealousy was one. And we were trying to think like, man, you got to be really, really, really jealous of somebody to really try to manipulate or to interfere, impact their lives in a negative way. Like, that's extra. You know what I mean? Nonetheless, all lies. Number 5 is they tend to act like they're the smartest person in the room, but it's generally only at the expense of others, right? So they only act like the smartest person in the room when they're actively minimizing other people. I've been around people for a while where it was kind of fun at first to be like, I'm so great at this. I'm so great at this. Then after a while, it's like I'm starting to realize it's like, dang, we don't ever talk about what other people are doing great. All we talk about is minimizing what other people are doing and then talk about how great we are. And I'm like, well, that just can't be true. Right? And so what a person like that will do, or if you're in a toxic space or it's a toxic connection or friendship or something like that, is like that you'll notice that they can never have anything. They can never have anything that they feel positive about unless it's in a reaction to saying someone else is not doing a good enough job. So that's kind of like, they can't see themselves as being great and whole and doing well already. And then their counterparts is also doing great and being whole. And no, they have to put themselves on some type of pedestal. And the only way they generally do that is by minimizing anything else people have going on or what they've accomplished or what they've done. I've even seen people who have done mediocre things in life and minimizing people who have made major political or social revolutions in this world. And they're just like, they didn't even do anything. All they did was this. And I'm like, dude, what have you done? You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes because you're on the defense and you get in a regular interaction with someone like that, you don't even notice how ridiculous what they're saying is, right? Anyway, number 6 this is a good one because it's just so true. They're never impressed with anybody but themselves. And this kind of piggybacks on the other things, right? You'll notice in conversations that they never ever think that anybody's doing anything great unless it's a thing that they've done. Someone else can do the exact same thing. They will not say it's great. They will not say it's great until it's something that they've done and they can claim the glory for it. And it really, really knocks down a person's self-worth and self-esteem, because if you're around people like this, you start to believe that they're being impressed with something that you've done or that you've completed is actually a validation that's worth getting, right? And so they're so tricky in that way, because once you're on the defense already and you're already thinking that you're not good enough and you're already thinking that, you don't have enough and you're not performing at a certain level or whatever, it's easy to get into someone's head and say, they're not impressed by something that you're doing. That's why they're not complimenting you. And it's a lie. They are impressed by it. They're so impressed that they're minimizing it on purpose so that they do not have to feel whatever negative feelings it brings about inside of them when someone else accomplishes something great, right? And it's just too much trouble. I mean, I've dealt with these type of connections and people. It's so exhausting. It's just like, why do we have to do that? We don't need to. I don't know where we're going as far as people and whether or not it's good to just walk away from environments that are like that, because we used to have to deal with them. But like now we're able to walk away. It's like, what is that going to create? I don't know. But in my daily life, it creates a lot of peace and freedom and joy. So I'm going to go with that, right? Anyway. Number 7 is, and this is my number 1 that kind of piggybacks for all the rest of them, the goalpost is forever moving, right? Oh my God. You know how many people I've been around where they were like, you're doing this one thing that I don't like, this one thing wrong, this is one thing about your personality that I don't care for. And you're just like, okay, why not? They're a nice person. Let me go ahead and just stop doing this annoying thing. And then 2 months later, 1 week later, 2 weeks later, whatever, they come around again and say, hey, guess what? There's this other thing that you do. And you're just like, okay, well, that doesn't seem like a big deal. Let me go ahead and just, comply. And then you look around 1 week later and then they're telling you again some other area where, you know that thing that you did a year ago? I never appreciated that. You're like, dude, that was a year ago. Why are we talking about that? Okay, well, we can talk about it. But what I need to do today to make this better? It doesn't matter. You can't make it better. When people have a mindset like that, or when they're in that toxic energy and when they're actively trying to chop you down to size or cut you down, they're not thinking along the lines of a solution or a resolution in any kind of way, right? They're thinking along the lines of, how can I continue to make this person feel less about themselves so I can feel better about myself? Because they don't know how to feel better about themselves unless other people are feeling less about themselves, right? And so it's really hard pill, and this is a bonus for people like this to swallow, when they have that ever-moving goalpost and that unquenchable thirst and they're always complaining. It doesn't matter what you do. I honestly say this is a huge complaint I had about being married the first time. It didn't matter what happened. I was on the wrong side of right, okay? It didn't matter what was. The plumber came and said the pipes were clogged, and it's like, what you been putting down that sink, And they think about that you dealt with things like that myself anyway. I'm just like, I would never sit in that type of negative energy and nonsense ever again, right? But that goalpost moving kind of person, you're never right by. You can sit and deal and try to figure that out, or you can decide, I'm going to be in the company and around people who know how to respect me as a whole being and who's not the kind of person that needs to feel like other people are less than so they can feel like more than. They are able to sit in the same space with people who have done just as much as them, people who have accomplished just as much as them, and able to give those people respect and say, hey, tell me your story. What is your journey? How did you do it, right? If you're not able to do that, then you're really caught up on competition. You're really caught up on being small. You're really caught up on proving yourself and thinking other people have to prove themselves to you, right? And that's just not a good place for anybody to be. Anyway, 7 ways that you can tell somebody's trying to work on your self-worth or work on your self-esteem. And it's generally because theirs is in the tank and they want yours to be in the tank too, so that they can feel more comfortable and more safe with you. And they don't have to feel like you're going to abandon them one day because you're really not as low in your self-worth and self-esteem. Instead of raising themselves up and actually doing the inner work and going within, they'd rather look on the outside and try to control everybody right in the vicinity so they can feel good no matter what. But it doesn't work. Anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.